Hello and welcome everyone. Me and Kalpesh talking about productivity, building productivity mindset, BPM. We welcome you again on one more live session. I hope you remember our conversation of 20th August today, which we're going to talk about BPM, which is building productivity mindset. But we had the conversation, the first LinkedIn Live, which happened on the Independence Day, which is on the Sunday. Do you remember all the points? If not, we have Kalpesh who will take us through the journey of what happened in the last conversation. Over to you, Kalpesh.
Okay, great, Sagar. Good to be back, and I think the kind of response that we received, in the discussion last time was overwhelming. Uh, the whole concept or the discussion about productivity and how productivity matters in all phases of our life. So we spoke about, how with simple examples of our day to day, where you spoke about the masala dabba that a housewife manages in her room or in the kitchen, and how those exact things being at the exact places matter so much to her. And when those elements are there in the right things are there at the right place and available at the right time, I think they make a lot of difference, impacting everything,
Absolutely.
impacting the productivity, the performance, the efficiencies, the effectiveness, and creates an ecosystem which builds a winning culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that was beautiful, and Sagar, I should tell you that after the session, I had a lot of people who reached out personally and were keen on being a participant to these sessions live on an ongoing basis. So I'm glad that we are doing this and we're investing this time for people to learn out of it and contribute to this society.
And one more amazing thing that happened post the session, I was approached by various people who would love to share their experiences about productivity, their tools and techniques about productivity. And there are a few geniuses who are willing to come and join us very soon on the upcoming events to share their experiences in their journey of productivity or being as a consultant. The second thing which happened was we are now sponsored by Red Bricks. So kudos to Red Bricks and thank you everyone for sponsoring us and listening to us. Productivity in daily life, we all see it. Productivity for individuals, we all know it. But productivity for business comes from a teamwork, comes from culture, and comes from every individual, which means if all individuals are productive like my fingers, together it becomes a fist and we will have a lot of growth and success in the organization. So today the topic is going to be around building productivity mindset, the journey, the way forward. We will also be releasing the 10 topics that we are going to cover in this series every Thursday at 5 p.m. So over to you, Kalpesh. Let's engage the viewers in the conversation. The flow is going to be very simple. Kalpesh, being the master for decoding excellence, is going to decode my excellence, ask me amazing questions, and I'm going to share with you my knowledge, my experience on productivity.
Perfect, Sagar. Thank you. So let's get going. So building productivity mindset. I think that's a very well coined name. Because I think when productivity otherwise comes to the mind, and this is a question to the audience as well, that when you hear productivity, what does come to your mind? So if I give my example, I think productivity for me means that efficiency part, or the quality tools that we talk about. But have I ever thought about building a mindset of productivity? Compartmentalizing my thoughts, or making sure that my thoughts and ideas actually become productive, which helps me in actually executing productivity. So I think that's a wonderful way to begin, and all the audiences who are watching us live, and I see Akash and Bijal and commenting on the LinkedIn
Yeah.
right now. I would want them to write down what does productivity mean for them. And what does productivity mindset mean for them?
Brilliant. Yes, absolutely.
So
So
with that,
while they, yes,
sorry, go ahead,
Kalpesh.
Sagar.
So I'm saying, while they write it, why don't we share, what's our view on productivity? I mean, I'll give you my stories about productivity, or I'll give you certain examples about my journey in my organization about productivity, and then you can, add your excellence points to it, of course.
Sure.
So, when we talk about productivity, the first word that comes to our mind is about being efficient, right? Efficiency. How productive are we and how efficient are we? But productivity is above that. Bijal is saying mindset is consistency. Yes, that's where I'm coming at. So now when we talk about productivity, efficiency comes as a straight thing. But how do we build that productivity? How do we build that kind of efficiency? How do we build that kind of, journey? Now that I think Robin Sharma, Tony Robbins, and many other leaders, they all talk about this thing that you need to have a mindset. Now, why does mindset become so important? Is a very simple example. If you want to wake up at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you put your alarm clock, which you set an alarm. And if you cannot have the mindset to wake up at that alarm and you keep snoozing it, what more example do you need that mindset is more powerful? The second example is the World War II, which was started in the mind of Hitler. He had the thought process that I want to do this, and this is what will be happening, and this is how I will do it. To conquer the world, the first mindset happened in the mind of Napoleon. The first telephone was invented in the mind of Graham Bell. They executed that mindset later, but if your mindset is not there, nothing can start. So mindset is so very important. Now talking about what is productivity, productivity can be divided into four different types on an overall structure. One is labor productivity, which we all talk about. The formula of productivity is very simple. What is the output for the input provided? Now, output is the product in terms of labor productivity, that how much product they have produced, how many pieces they have produced, or how many articles they have produced, or what is the turnaround time in terms of a call center. The second is about capital productivity, which means ROI, right? What is the money investment input and what is the money investment output, or what are the profits, or what is the bottom line? The third one comes as material, which is what is a raw material requirement as an input and what is a what is the product received as an output. But the most important factor here is the last one, which is total productivity factor, which will include everything that is not considered either as labor, capital, material. And those are the most important areas, Kalpesh, which I will be discussing in the later part of the conversation. Those I call as gray areas. And those are very, very important to understand because that impacts a lot of areas in the business. So productivity is nothing but it's very important because that is the criteria which defines the growth of an organization, and anything that cannot be measured cannot be improved.
Very well said, Sagar. And I think the examples that you spoke about, the telephone or any other, the World War, it is very well said, right? The whole thing first begins in your mind, and then in the reality. Because if it doesn't happen here, it never gets a space to actually happen. Or if I call a clearing to happen.
Yes.
So that was very well said, Sagar. And with productivity, also if I decode the way you just mentioned about the number of reports produced or the number of articles written by people, I think it's produce plus activity is what is making productivity.
Yeah.
So what is your product and what is the activity? When you combine that, the speed, the excellence, the efficiency of that is what the output is, what your productivity is. Great.
Absolutely.
So with that, Sagar, there are a few things which are very closely associated with productivity, and I'm going to go through one by one of those questions. And I know that in the series that we have planned, and we'll answer a lot more depth and examples, but I want to touch base on those elements which are hand in hand with productivity. So
Sure.
what is efficiency according to you?
See, normally when we talk about productivity, efficiency is invariably connected, which means efficiency signifies the peak level of performance that uses the least amount of input to achieve the highest amount of output, which means by using the maximum resource or maximum utilization of the available resources to get the output is efficiency. Now, how do we calculate efficiency? Normally is by, the ways of calculating efficiency is process optimization that we do. Sometimes we talk about, reduction in labor, which means that if I have X number of people to produce one car, and if I reduce that number of manpower to produce the same car in the same time, that means I'm being more efficient. I'm saving on the labor. How you can achieve more efficiency? The way is by reducing NVA. Now, NVA is non-value added activity. There is a difference between value added activity and non-value added activity. 95% of the processes that are available with the business have 90% NVA, which means if you are doing a process, 90% of the process is NVA, for which the customer is not going to pay. And only 10% or even 5% in certain cases is value added. So yes, we will discuss that in detail in the coming weeks, but I wanted to bring out that point that efficiency is nothing but utilizing of resources. You can also improve your efficiency by using 5S. Now 5S is a Japanese methodology, and efficiency, if I have to sum it up in one word, it's all about time management.
Yeah. And I think, Sagar, just adding from my experiences, I think efficiency, of course, will be time management, but I think I'll add the dimension of quality with that. So I may, for example, I come from the BPS sector, and where we've seen is that there would be associates who would end up calling, say, 60 customers in an hour versus somebody else who's calling 100 customers in an hour. Now, one way of efficiency measurement, when I look at what is the effort they put in, the first one was better than the second person, right? But the question that comes is, was that really efficient? Because if that is not meeting the outcome of what was required, then it still gets limited only to the effort that is going on. So it's just the speed that runs on. So that links me to another question to you, Sagar. What does effectiveness mean to you?
Amazing. So like on 15th August, Kalpesh, we said that productivity is equal to efficiency multiplied by effectiveness. So the definition for me, productivity is the state of being to create particularly high quality output at higher speeds.
Mm-hmm.
So what efficiency we have discussed. Now talking about what effectiveness means. Effectiveness is a capability of producing the desired quality using the available resources for expected outcomes. In short, effectiveness is about quality, being effective, being able to produce the right material with the right quality. Because if you have the highest efficiency, like we discussed last time, that there's a shoe manufacturing company, and the guys have been given the task to manufacture shoes. Now, if they manufacture only the right leg shoe, immensely efficient. They were told to produce 500 pairs of shoes, and they have produced 1,000 pairs of shoes, but the pair they've only produced right and right. Now they are efficient. They are precisely efficient. They have produced, right? But are they effective? Is the marketing team going to sell that shoe to anybody? Or can they sell it?
Yeah.
So, that's productivity. You have to be efficient, but you also have to be effective enough to produce the right quality desired by the customer.
Right.
So, that's what I summarize it.
No, I think that's wonderful. And Sagar, if I, from your experience, you've been a productivity explorer, and you've done a lot of work. I know about it. Effectiveness or efficiency, that you spoke about. Effectiveness and efficiency is some product of productivity. How do you relate that to your day-to-day life? How does one as an individual work for his own efficiency and effectiveness? Sagar, I'm sorry, I think I've lost you. I'm not able to hear you. So I think, team, while Sagar comes back, Sagar, we lost you for a moment. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Kalpesh, I lost you for a brief minute.
Yeah. So my question to you, Sagar, was that, while we now understand the concept of efficiency and effectiveness, and while we drill that down further, what would you give as a recommendation for somebody to improve their efficiency and effectiveness into their day-to-day life?
Very simple tips. Ensure that you have a small diary with you which fits in your pocket. Why? Because you would have observed, Kalpesh, that when you have something in your mind which is going on and you have thoughts, you are not able to concentrate on the work that you have it on your hand. The simple way to come out of that is write it down. Once you have written it down, your mind knows that you have written it down, you will not forget it, and that does not bother you anymore. That will improve your effectiveness in doing the quality of the job immediately. That will also increase your efficiency because your mind is focused. The second thing what you should do whenever you're doing a progress or work, shut down social media, shut down your phone, because what happens most of the time, let's say when I'm doing a creative or when I was preparing a document, that the phone keeps on saying ting, ting, ting. We think that we are not paying attention to that and we are loyal to our work, but that tinkering sound somewhere in our mind creates a brain wave which makes us distracted.
Yes.
So having focus is the most important criteria to have better effectiveness. Now for efficiency, there are various tools that are available. Like if you want to have your personal effectiveness increase, you can use tools and technologies which are available on internet like Evernote, OneDrive, share other tools, or have tools like 5S which can help you to organize your desk better. Like if you're sitting and giving a live session, you will need water, you will need your microphone, you will need your headphone, you will need Wi-Fi, and you will need other gadgets or your notes. Now, why don't you organize it in the right way while you're sitting and doing it? Like I see that amazing whiteboard right behind you, which is so handy. So if you're talking to somebody and if you want to write something on that whiteboard, all you have to do is just turn around and write it. So that's a perfect example of bringing your efficiency to the highest level, because you don't have to search at that moment, oh, how do I show you, how do I write? Or you will go here and there, pick up a diary and write it down. You don't need to. So that's a living example right on screen that you having a whiteboard there is improving your effectiveness, efficiency at the same time. So these are the few suggestions: being focused and being arranging the things the way you want.
Yeah, I think from whatever my experience has been, Sagar, you've actually linked on being mindful. You've actually So one of the exercises that you just mentioned about, whatever thoughts that come to your mind, just put them on diary so that it allows you to move on. I think, yeah, it's something that I have exercised, and I keep doing that religiously, and I see the effectiveness of that. I've experienced the difference it makes. So wonderful. I think that's excellent. Okay, so good. So I to improve my productivity, I need to have efficiency and I need to have effectiveness to get the desired output. When I'm doing that in an organization, Sagar, how does organization culture impact the productivity?
A very good question, Kalpesh, because productivity for an individual is my choice. Productivity for an individual is my mindset. Productivity for an individual is my agreement or my commitment to myself. But when it comes to an organization, because, and that's where you see that productivity, when we talk about productivity for an individual, it's very easy. But when we talk about productivity for an organization, it requires a lot of teamwork, and organizational culture is very closely related to that, in a simple way that, productivity management is the art of getting things done. Then if I have to say that way, productivity is the art of getting companies product or services to the customers at lowest possible cost in the fastest time. Now, this means that customer has to be at the center of the service. The products have to be of the optimum quality. Now, to produce good quality products, you need the technology, the processes, the quality inspection, the quality assurance department, maintenance, everything in sync with the requirement of the quality. And now to produce all that, you need support from engineering, you need support from purchase, you need support from finance. And overall, to keep all these things together, you need a binding thing. And that binding force to keep an organization together is organizational culture. And organizational culture will add as a fuel to motivate, inspire, and keep the momentum within the team. So productivity and organizational culture are very, very close and they go hand in hand. Do you remember or recall any organization who is not having a good organizational culture? The teams are falling apart. I mean, we've done so many assignments together, Kalpesh. Have we seen any organization which is having, lower maintenance, no communication, high on productivity? It's impossible to have higher productivity when your teams are not in sync.
Yeah. No, I think that's correct, Sagar. So so let's go a little more deeper into this. When we talk about the organization culture, and you spoke about there are different spikes which have to everybody has to do their bit to ensure that the right output is achieved. So let me dwell with you in in a little more aspects about to build the organization culture and with the final goal of productivity in mind. How do you think people play a role in that?
Okay. The people that are there in the organizations are actually the driving force, because no matter how much automation I would have, no matter how much technology I would have, but those are the people who are actually going to drive the technology, who are going to drive that machinery, even if it's a push of a button. Fair enough. Purchase is not push of a button. HR is not push of a button. Maintenance is just not push of a button. And learning and development and bringing the upskilling of the staff is not push of a button. So the 5 points that any organization can keep a tab to ensure it increases the productivity of their team, their individuals, and thereby bringing that culture is: let the employees be accountable for their work,
Wonderful.
recognize and reward them, create a positive environment for them to communicate, collaborate, and grow together, provide opportunities for growth, and last but not the least, provide an optimal work environment. Now, all this put together, Kalpesh, will create a culture for an organization supporting the individuals to grow, give the highest productivity output, and that what I name as my masterpiece or that is something which is my master consulting statement, that I help organizations create autonomous work culture to sound like symphony.
Awesome. I mean, I relate that, Sagar, to two areas. Okay. I think one, as you rightly said, taking the example of cricket, we being Indians, we love cricket and all of us follow
Absolutely.
cricket. So if I'm a good bowler, me being a good bowler in itself is very good, and my productivity will be with regards to the pace, the line, and the length that I bowl, and who is the batsman that I'm bowling to. But as in culture, I'll need the right kind of field arrangements. I'll need the right kind of coach. I'll need the right kind of a ground that I'm working on or I'm playing on. Because if those elements are not there, which are supporting element to make me effective, I think that's not going to work. And
Very true.
I was relating that to yesterday. I went out with my car for something, and I had to open the bonnet for checking the oil. And this same example that you just mentioned, came out. Will my car run only if my tires had full air? No. Or will it perform only if there was enough petrol in the car?
Yeah.
No. All those minute things about the brake, the steering wheel, the alignment between the wheel and the, I don't know how many uh, control points go into that to make my car efficient and effective in me actually driving. I mean, that's the final product that I'm driving, but there's so much of element which goes. And I think the whole culture piece, as you mentioned, plays a critical aspect.
Absolutely.
Second aspect, so you mentioned about people, and I want to touch base on one more element which is very important from an organization culture. And I want to ask you, how does process play an important role in driving organization culture?
Very, very, very important point, Kalpesh, because process are the force or process are the documents which will help individuals to create that flow. But before I go into that process, let me touch base with a very small point on the car that you told me, because that example is so good. So let's dwell on that analogy, and that will be a really good example of organizational culture, and will also answer the question about process. Now, you talked about right fuel, right engine oil, right tires. Did you ever talk about the timing belt in your car?
No,
Right?
I didn't. Hmm.
Did you talk about you changing the gears in the car? Let's say it's not an automatic car, of course, but did you talk about changing gears or changing the right gears, or understanding that process of when to have the first gear, when to have the second one, when to have the third one? Or for that matter, if it's an automated car. Now, if I'm going to put my automated car in N mode and I complain that the car is not running, it's not driving, why? Or if I put it in the P mode, right? And I complain that it's still going in the reverse. Of course, it's going in reverse. Of course, it's not going to drive because the process is not right. The process is very simple, that you have to press the clutch, change the gear, then leave the clutch for the car to go forward. Just by pressing the clutch, changing the gear, and giving accelerator, the car won't move, even though if it has proper fuel, proper oil, and perfect air. So that's the importance of the organizational culture. Most of the times we miss out certain areas which are not very visible to us, like the pressure in the car is visible, the tires, the fuel is visible, but the timing belt, which actually ensures that all these things run in sync, is not visible. And we try to miss that. The same way there are certain areas in organization which we miss, the same way the process. Now, because you're driving car every single day, we know that, okay, clutch, brake, gear, and we do that. But if it's for the first time driver, you have to explain them, you have to teach them, you have to train them. And to train them, if there is a standard procedure, standard process, it becomes more easier for the new person to learn it. The same way in an organization, if you have a set process, if a new employee joins in, it's easy for him to read and understand the process and become the part of the team very, very quickly. But in certain organizations where there are no defined processes, no defined procedures, and it's always all tactical in the mind of the operators, it takes months for the new operator to actually get into the shoe of the senior employees. Now that is the importance of process, and most of the MSMEs miss that because they are a family-owned business. They want to grow, but what they miss is this part where they don't have the defined process and procedure. They don't respect that thing because the people are working them from 10 years. Iteration is very low because there is a connection between the employee and the employees very closely. The system of appraisal is not there, reward recognition is not there, is because ठीक है वो 10 साल से काम कर रहा है, and that kind of approach is there. So processes play a very important role to create the right mindset. And mindset, as we said in the start, is the most crucial thing to achieve productivity.
Perfect. I think, Sagar, that is very well said. And I think, Gautam, thank you for acknowledging. I think, yes, those are the golden words of wisdom by Sagar about trust and accountability and employee engagement. So thank you for engaging and being with us there. So Sagar, now moving ahead, and I want to keep reminding the audience that we're going to come back on this every Thursday, and it's a 10 series session that we will actually start from coming Thursday, which is 27th of August. What we are talking right now is only the glimpses on, what it means and what are the kind of aspects we're going to cover.
Yeah.
So Sagar, coming to the next thing, you actually just touched upon the MSMEs or any business. Now let's probably take a moment and tell me, how do you link the impact of productivity on the top line, the most crucial aspect of any business for existence, for survival?
Absolutely. Now, absolutely, Kalpesh, absolutely. Because see, people talk about bottom line, but now the scenarios have changed and organizations have understood that if their top line is planned properly, the bottom line will invariably grow. Yes, of course, there are certain things which have to work on the bottom line, but top line is very, very important, is because unless and until you have a very strong top line, which is nothing but your growth, your sales, you are not going to have a very good incentive schemes. You're not going to have right mindset of the people. The organization will always be under stress for more orders, more performance, better performance, and higher orders. There'll be a fight between marketing and production, or quality and marketing, or the management and the marketing. And that fight will be negative. I'm not saying the fight will not be there. I see organizations where more orders are there and production is less. There is a fight, but that's a positive fight. So now coming to your question, how productivity impacts top line. Productivity impacts the top line by bringing in the mindset to motivate more and more people by giving them the right technology, like giving the salespeople the right apps, creating right website, training them to sell the product in the right way, and that will make them more productive. That will make them more efficient, and that will impact the top line because they will be more confident while they are pitching the product or the service to the customer. The customer will be also very happy, because if I have to show a presentation and if the website doesn't work, or the organization website is not functioning, or I'm not able to punch in the orders in front of the customer as an app, it brings out a sorry picture. So using the right technology, that will help, and improving the sales will not only have motivation in the team, but it will also help to create more incentive schemes for the marketing or incentive schemes for the production, that we have these orders. Can you make more? Can you produce more? If yes, you're going to get more package, or you're going to get more thing. And that brings out a very healthy competition. So I hope that answers your question about how productivity can impact top sales. I've also added the points of what can we do in productivity, or some examples which can help the mindset of the people to boost more sales, to boost more top line, and to create a growth channel.
Wonderful. I think no, and to add to what you just mentioned, no, Sagar, it not only from of course the top line, the incentives, the healthy competition bit. I'm actually also linking that it will start impacting your top line because what you're doing is you're building an ecosystem which is
Yes.
reliable,
Yes.
and that whole ecosystem when is reliable, even your client experience to your employee experience to your vendor experience to that entire chain becomes a support system to make that happen. And when there is that seamless operation that is in place, your customers will build that trust on you because there is reliability, there is dependability,
Absolutely.
and that whole cycle is like a positive vicious circle, if I call, which will actually then keep expanding your circle and get you more and more out in the market, stand out in competition, and create a
Yes.
niche for yourself.
Yep. So, Kalpesh, while we are on that topic, let me give you one very good example. For all the listeners, if you haven't seen this video, you can just go on Google and see this video. If not, I will be sharing the link post the live. The video is about a symphony orchestra where the leader or the commander who is actually giving the cues to the band is also turning and giving cues to the audience, and they are actually clapping. So on YouTube, if you play a symphony orchestra with 25,000 audience clapping in sync, you will see this video. And Kalpesh, what you rightly said is this is the positive vibrations or the positive vicious circle where your customers are actually playing the role with you in your symphony, and that is the desired output from the thing that I call creating autonomous work culture to create symphony. That's exactly what I meant, Kalpesh.
Beautiful. Great. So now, of course, the top line gets impacted. The higher the productivity, the higher you go out and you generate, you carve out a path of growth for yourself. Now the next question: how does productivity also impact your bottom line?
Amazing. Because that's very important is because what happens in productivity when it goes for a bottom line is your employees are more engaged, right? Once you have that mindset of productivity, once you have the growth culture, the organization culture also supports that thing and it improves top line. The top line pressure brings in a lot of employee engagement. The top line increases the pressure for others to be more efficient, which means now I'm turning the table the other way around. Productivity is not desired, but productivity becomes the need, the want of the organization. And that's the beauty of that whole program, that we built in the pressure where productivity requirement is not outward in, but it's inward out. People, the employees, the team, they start feeling the pressure and they start feeling the need of being productive. And why will that need be generated is because when you have a good top line, your efficiencies are good, your productivity is good, you have surplus income. What you will do with the surplus income? You will invest in the technology. You will either invest in more training and development, or you will also invest that by giving more pay rises to your employees. Now that builds again a brief motivation, a good motivation on the employees, because now they've got their packages increased, now they've got their salaries increased, they've got other details, they've got pressure from top line to produce more. The management is supporting by giving them the required resources, and it's a win-win everywhere. So once you create the right mindset, if you see from the discussion, Kalpesh, where we started off the autonomous work culture, bringing in the right mindset, creating the organizational culture, and we touched upon top line. By the time we are still on the halfway of top line, the shift is now productivity is not desired by somebody outside as a consultant, but it comes from the organization. They want to be productive. they want to create that thing for themselves. And that's the beauty of the journey of becoming autonomous work culture. And that's the beauty of this 10-week series that we are going to do. The 10 sessions will make this flow live in front of the audience.
Great. And Sagar, I want to tell the audience that one of the sessions during this 10 sessions is also going to be talking about a very critical aspect of the role of people in productivity. As you rightly mentioned, that there are so many dependabilities and there are so many different functions which come together to make it happen. And it's not about one person being productive or one person or one function being productive. It's about the culture and the mindset across the organization that will make it happen. So we're going to go a lot more into that details, and stay tuned for the sessions that we're going to conduct. Sagar, you mentioned in the beginning while we were discussing, and when I spoke about the car example, you spoke about the gray areas, or you spoke about the areas that are not seen or not obvious at all. Let me ask you, what do you see, or what would you say are the gray areas in productivity, or something that people just miss out?
So that question is very broad, Kalpesh, because it changes from organization to organization and industry to industry. So I will take one example, one industry right now, and we will dwell into it. So let's consider the MSME that we have considered, or the family-owned business, or a small company, which is SME or MSME. Now, the most neglected area will be HR, the admin function, the IT department. These are the three main areas will be neglected. The fourth most area which will be neglected will be creating core values. Now, they will all have ISO 9001. They will all have TS 16949. They might also have ISO 14001 because their customers have told. Please mark my word, because their customers have told, not because they actually see the value in it, but because somebody has told, they're getting it. Now, what happens in that? The core values are all only on the paper, and they don't actually reflect in the conversation, the communication, the leadership style. And those are the gray areas. Those are the areas which are not seen, but those are the areas which have the highest impact on the mindset of the people, the engagement of employees, the motivation of the teams, and that will result into organization culture. And if that is not set right, Kalpesh, it will also impact the productivity, the top line, and going forward, bottom line, and slowly, not in immediate impact, but 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years, it will collapse the organization. I'm sure we have got plethora of examples where organizations have gone sick only because of non-communication, or only because of non-implementation of those core values, those soft points. And when we worked upon
Sagar, you've gone mute. Sagar, you've gone mute for some reason.
I'm so sorry. So I was just telling that, I would not name an organization, but I'm sure you remember and recall the minute I'll tell the example, where we both started coaching and training and talking to the top management and telling them to revive that approach which they had. And they started doing weekly meetings and, monthly meetings with the employees, understanding their problems. The unit which was once doing minus X is now doing plus 10X. You remember that, Kalpesh, right? So that's the importance of the gray areas. So just to summarize, the gray areas mainly are the areas which are neglected, which are not seen in the front, which is, if it's a manufacturing industry, only the purchase, the maintenance, and production will be the forefront runners. The HR, IT, and the communication, the processes, the systems will all be a gray area. But those gray areas have a very big impact. So it will change industry into industry. And if any listener has a question about a gray area in their industry, please feel free to ask.
So great, Sagar, and then there's another example which I want to add. But before that, I want to take up a question by Anil Goswami. Anil has been a generous heart and somebody who wants to learn, and he's always been there on our live sessions. So Anil has a question which says that if market scenario wants less consumption of some products, what shall be productivity at that time?
Brilliant question. So if the market scenario wants less consumption of some products, of course, there'll be demand of some other products at that time. Shift your productivity on those products which have higher demand. For example, in pharma, right now the demand is on mask and other things. Even in automotive, the demand is on mask and producing the PPE kits. And we know Mahindra, they've been everywhere on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, that they've shifted one of their unit to produce the PPE kit, to produce the mask, which means they have shifted their productivity. The culture is so strong there that no matter what, they want to be the winners. They want to be the pioneers in whatever they do. And what they did, they established their tool room, their workforce, and drive it to produce something which was in demand. And they started creating supplies for it.
Yeah. That is one, Sagar, and I think if I may add another perspective to this to Anil's question is, and this is what I used to do in our business process services. So we used to get a database for making calls. Our fresh files would generally come on a Tuesday. So Tuesday and Wednesday we would have awesome connects and conversions. By Thursday the file will dry out, and as per we used to service a US customer at that time. So you only can churn that file for 3 times or 4 times, not more than that. Because if you do more passes on that, you're liable to answer to ombudsman. Now what do you do? So we've completed the productivity. Now here is the tweak that we would do. We moved our conversion ratios definition at that time. So it's a Tuesday and Wednesday where we are churning the dialer at the speed of 1:3, so that any customer contact that we can get, we want to churn that. On those days, on Thursday, we would run the dialer at 1:1, so that every possible contact that we get, we want to make it. So the focus on running the mass moves into trying and establishing a contact with every possible dial. Now that is
I think I've lost internet again.
But are you able to hear me? Because I'm able to hear you.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So the second thing, if I talk about on the where we used to even churn out on that file, what we used to do is, rather than making sure that the rule was that okay, people have to be logged in for 8 hours and they have to make X number of calls, we changed that definition. So every Thursday we activated our learning and development team to ensure that they have a 2 hour to 3 hour of modules that can be trained, because now we've churned a file in 4 hours time. We have 4 hours. We use that for engagement.
Okay, so I think we have lost Kalpesh. So we will continue it here, and we'll wait till Kalpesh comes back. So what Kalpesh was trying to say is that, you have to utilize the time to ensure that the team is engaged, the productivity is built, and if you have some spare time, invest that time into learning and development. Because by learning and development, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to keep the teams engaged. I think Kalpesh is back, and we will add him here. Yes, Kalpesh.
Hi, I'm so sorry I got dropped. So I was just relating that, Sagar, is that the definition of productivity there for us was not only about calling and calling and calling. Our definition of productivity for Tuesday and Wednesday was about the number of calls and the number of churn. Our productivity definition on Thursday was that 4 hours you complete this, and then what is the time investment that we made for training and quality.
Yeah, so that's where you dropped the call. I was just covering that for you, nothing else.
Yeah. No, so I'm just saying that there is that presence of mind, of course, and that presence of of your ecosystem in which you operate will define your productivity of what you want. It cannot be just one measuring scale and everything gets measured on that.
Yeah. Very
Right?
true.
And that just brings me to other element to tell the audience that measuring of scale and data collection and garbage in, garbage out are also the element that we're going to cover into our session on this weekly Thursday sessions. So, Sagar, that brings me to the last question for today. And that is, while we spoke about productivity, we talked about the philosophy and wisdom of productivity. What are those simple actionables? What are those steps that that can help people to build and improve their productivity?
Kalpesh, I think your example answered it all. Of course, I'm going to say them, but what I loved is churn and learn, which means that when you have the pressure, churn to get more output, and when you don't have that pressure, learn so that you can churn better. So I love the analogy and I'm going to use it for sure. But now coming for the steps to improve productivity or creating the right organizational culture or the right mindset. Very simple steps. Review your workflow system, as I call it as value stream mapping, which means you have to review your workflow system that is currently based in terms of a time. Depute a time officer and just let him observe what work is going on in the office, how it is going, or you can yourself become your time officer and note it down, but that becomes too cumbersome. So we try to depute one time officer who does not go and nag, but is just sitting and noting down the actions of a person or the actions in that process, so that the value stream mapping can be done. Of course, value stream mapping is much more detailed than what I've spoken right now, but this is just a highlight of it. Second is ensure that your processes and technologies are always updated, because if you are using an outdated technology, you will always have the struggle to wait for the data to come up or wait for the machine to come up. Like a simple example, there are certain machines which use DC motors, and there are machines now which are available and which convert into DC motors. Now the precision of accuracy of the DC motor to run the line, or the coordination of the DC motor, is not as same as the AC motor, which means you have to upgrade the technology. Now by upgrading technology from AC to DC to AC, you're also ensuring your panel cost is reduced, your electricity consumption is reduced, your power factor is mid-stable, and you can control those motors using a PLC system, which means that there are added benefits. There are gray areas of upgrading your technologies which are positive. Create a culture for total quality management, which means that quality is not only in the final product, but quality is starting from the way you dress, the way you do maintenance, the way you do predictive, preventive, breakdown maintenance. Quality should be also in communication, in email. Quality should be in your processes. Quality should be in your meetings. Do not waste time in meetings by just discussing things which are not relevant. Be very, very effective. And that's where I say that total quality management is a complete circle. We will be discussing those points. Organize your workspace, because if your workspace is not organized, remember the example that we gave on 15th of August of a garage. The guy who is in the garage workshop has got everything standardized, and his workplace is very well organized. Organize a workspace like that, because if a garage guy can do it, who is maybe a diploma or sometimes not even a diploma holder or an ITI guy, but if he can do it, if you are an engineer, if you are a manager, and if you've done an MBA, of course you can do it. So organize your workplace, not only at work, but organize your workplace in your wallet, in your bag, and even at your car desk, because everything around you creates a mindset. If you see clutter somewhere, your mindset absorbs it and defines it. So ensure that everywhere you go, your workplace is organized. That is what we are going to cover in 5S, of course. Maintain optimum level of inventory. Have you ever observed, if you're listening to me right now, just observe the place around you, observe your own home around you. There will be 20% of things or 20% of the furniture which is not required. and that's blocking your home. Now put that scenario in a factory or in an organization. 20-25% of the material that you're going to use once in 6 months is lying on your shop floor. Why? Create a room, place it there, empty your shop floor, let the movement be faster. The efficiency will improve, productivity will improve. Create a collaborative team. Ensure that there is a team which is sync and collaborative. Now that will only come by implementing autonomous work culture with authority. And once you create an autonomous work culture with authority, your business will run and sound like symphony. And I end this on this note, that create an autonomous work culture to sound like symphony and let the music be money.
No, great. So thank you, Sagar. And just before we move, Sagar, I would like to answer one of the questions by Anil Goswami,
Sure.
and where he's mentioned about, these days demand of housing, residential and commercial have gone down. What do we do with already available infrastructure? Well, Anil, I may not, I'm not from that field, or maybe I'm not an expert in answering that question, but I can only say one thing, is that if you put, a thinking hat together, that, okay, now this is what I have, as we said, that a lot of times we only think about the usage of a particular thing in a way. Mobiles, when got invented, it was only about making calls, then came making, SMSs, and now today there is no end on what you cannot do with your mobile. With a lot of infrastructures, what few things that I saw, co-working space, which came out as a new culture. Now I've seen builders who are building huge societies only to be given out on lease or tenants. They're not selling that whole, the whole ecosystem or infrastructure that they're building, but they're only allowing that for giving it for that purpose. And there are a lot of different newness which is coming today. I like to share this, Sagar. Have you heard about marathons? People participate in marathons.
Yes.
I received an email about 2 hours back from Townscript, where they've organized a marathon. Due to physical distancing, you can't go for marathon, but they've given you a task of completing X number of hours in 3 days time, from a start time to the end time. And you have to register by paying them and committing to that number of hours. You end up getting a certificate of completing that number of running hours.
Wow. Yeah.
Now they had a choice to just sit down and be a victim of the scenario, saying, "Oh, what do I do? How do I create any events like these, because it's not possible," versus a newness, versus a complete new dimension of thinking.
Absolutely.
And inviting people to participate. Now, just because I will commit and pay that money to go and complete that number of hours, I will ensure I'm completing that number of hours and show them the ticker that, okay, here, this is the snapshot, these are the kilometers I've completed. So they're still remaining to be committed to my health. They're still organizing an event because I'll commit to an event and I'll participate into that. And there's newness. So I think these are the elements, Anil, and of course we can keep talking more and explore. So wonderful. So Sagar, any closing comments for your side? We have 1.5 minutes left.
Yeah. So as I said, the most important closing comment is have a right mindset for productivity, not as from outside. There's a pressure from outside for being productive. No, have a mindset that you want to be productive. Your teams want to be productive. Your businesses have to be productive. Now that by just having the mindset will not result. You need to start taking actions. Now the actions we have already discussed in the steps, but if you have missed out those steps, you can watch the recording, or else we will be covering all those points in the sessions coming along. So once you have the right mindset, you know the steps, you know the tools and techniques, you have the right organizational culture, the culture then creates and sets in a base for people to go out to be motivated, to perform. And that performance will result in improving your bottom line and your top line. And that way it will bring the organization to an exponential growth, brilliant branding, and an amazing life cycle, which means just by having the right mindset of productivity, your organization will definitely grow to new levels. So that's my comment. Create autonomous work culture, create symphony.
Great, Sagar. And I would like to end for this discussion with a quote from Martin Luther King. You know, it clearly says that if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward.
Absolutely.
So building productivity mindset is about moving in that direction, building step by step. You know, taking that one next step in that direction, which will ultimately lead you in the direction that you want to reach. So,
Absolutely.
Sagar, thank you so much. It's wonderful, and I enjoy having these conversations with you. And I look forward to Thursdays at 5 p.m. where we go live and interact with our audiences on this topic.
Absolutely. So, guys, watch out for this space and keep watching and keep sharing your love and blessings on both of us. And we are going to, share more and more things to you. Thank you, Kalpesh, for being with me. And I'm not going to leave you so soon. You will be with me for the next series of all 10 topics which are coming up on Thursdays. And by the way, Anilji, Redbricks is also one such co-working space. And this event is sponsored by Redbricks. So they are actually doing something very different rather than just sitting in the pandemic. They are contributing to the society, they're contributing to the welfare of the community, and they're building a stronger community. Thank you, Redbricks.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.